I confronted the woman my boyfriend was cheating with and could not believe it when I saw her at family dinner. I was convinced my boyfriend was hiding something, so I followed him and caught him with another woman. I confronted her, thinking that was the end of it. But when she arrived at our family dinner, acting like she belonged, everything I thought I knew began to unravel. Some men are afraid to introduce their girlfriends to their families. It's something people talk about a lot, how it often means the relationship isn't serious, or that the guy just isn't sure. That's the obvious answer. But in my case, it never felt like the right one. Michael and I were solid. We loved each other. We talked about the future, and it was clear we both saw that future together. Not in a vague, dreamy way, but in real, serious conversations about marriage, about children, about growing old side by side. We were in it for the long haul, and yet, through all of that, Michael never once introduced me to his family. Not once. The only relative of his that I'd ever met was his cousin Josh, and that wasn't even planned. We just happened to bump into him on the street one afternoon. He was nice enough, clearly surprised to see me, but he smiled and called me by name. That was the strangest part. He already knew who I was. And it wasn't just him. His whole family clearly knew about me. They even sent us holiday cards with both our names on them. To Michael and Olivia, written in big gold letters. His mom had even signed it. I remember opening it, feeling warm at first, thinking, wow, I'm part of this. But the warmth didn't last, because when I looked at Michael, he was stiff, awkward, and quiet. Every time I brought up meeting his mom or his family, he would shut it down. Not harshly, not rudely, but quickly, firmly. She's a complicated person, he would say. Or, she means well, but she can be a lot. He insisted it wasn't about me. It was he trying to protect me from the chaos. He said she'd ruined his past relationships with her behavior, clingy, controlling, overbearing, and that he didn't want to risk that happening again. He said he was scared of losing me. For a while, I accepted that. I loved him, and I trusted him. And honestly, part of me even respected his loyalty, this desire to keep me safe from someone who had been difficult for him to deal with. But things started to shift. Lately, Michael had become different, distant. He started disappearing for long stretches of time, offering vague excuses that never quite made sense. I went out with a friend, or I had to run errands, or just needed to clear my head. His phone was always on him now, always face down, always locked. Then one night, I watched him withdraw cash from his savings account, a lot of cash. It was quiet, late. I wasn't supposed to see, but I did. My heart sank. I didn't say anything right away, but the question began to grow louder in my mind. What was he doing with that money? What was he hiding? Only two answers made any kind of sense. Either he was planning to propose, or he was cheating on me. I went back and forth for days. My gut was tangled with anxiety, and finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know the truth, whatever it was. So one night, when we were both home, I asked him directly, Michael, are you planning to propose to me? He looked at me with wide eyes like I'd asked something ridiculous. What? Is this the point in our relationship where you start pressuring me about marriage? It stung, hearing it said like that, but I kept calm. No, I told him, I'm not pressuring you. I just feel like you're about to propose, and I want to know if I'm right. He stared at me for a moment, still caught off guard. Why would you need to know that? Wouldn't it ruin the surprise if I was? I nodded. Maybe, but you've been acting really strange lately, and I keep going back and forth between thinking you're about to propose or you're cheating on me. He paused. His face shifted. I saw something behind his eyes. Guilt, maybe, or fear, but not the kind I expected. I'm not cheating on you, he said quietly. That's for sure. And if I ever plan to propose, believe me, you would not see it coming. Then what's going on with you? I asked again. He exhaled deeply, his shoulders slumping like someone finally letting go of a weight they'd been carrying for far too long. All right, he said. I think it's time I introduced you to my family. I blinked, surprised. Wait, really? For so long, it had felt like this invisible wall between us, one that he'd refused to let me cross. And now, all of a sudden, he was saying it was time? Yeah, he nodded, his voice calm but certain. It's time. They're coming over this weekend. My heart practically skipped a beat. I felt light, almost breathless with relief and excitement. That's amazing, I said, smiling so wide it actually hurt a little. Michael smirked, giving me that half-joking, half-serious look he always used when he was trying to warn me about something without scaring me. You say that now, he said, but once you meet them, you might change your mind. I laughed and leaned forward, pressing a quick kiss to his cheek. He chuckled softly, but didn't say anything else. I couldn't help it. My mind immediately jumped to what I had secretly been hoping all along. He was going to propose. I could feel it now, stronger than ever. The distance, the secrecy, the cash withdrawal, it had all been preparation. And this family dinner? It was just the final step. The moment I dreamed of was finally coming. The next morning, I texted my best friend Kate in full-blown panic. I told her everything. About the dinner, my suspicions, and my absolute need to look perfect. She responded within seconds. Meet me in 20, we're doing this right. And that's how we began what became an all-day mission. First stop was manicures. I sat there imagining the moment a ring might slide onto my finger. My palms were sweating just thinking about it. Next came the outfit hunt. At first it was fun, exciting. Every store felt full of possibilities. But by the fifth store, my feet were aching and nothing felt quite right. Too casual, too flashy, too old, too young. I was spiraling, and that was when it happened. We had just walked out of another boutique when Kate suddenly grabbed my arm and shoved me backward, back through the doorway. "What the hell?" I said, stumbling slightly. Nothing, just go back inside," she muttered quickly. Her voice was strange, strained and panicked. I squinted at her. "What is it?" She flinched, looking incredibly guilty. "Don't look, there's nothing there." But of course, the moment someone says don't look, you do. Instinctively, my head turned toward the street. And that was when my world cracked. There was Michael. Not across town, not at work, not doing anything that required excuses. He was right there, in front of me, with another woman. She was beautiful, elegant, poised. Her hand was looped through his arm like she belonged there. He was carrying her shopping bags, walking at her pace. And he looked happy, genuinely happy. My chest tightened. I felt the air leave my lungs. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Kate stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "I told you not to look." I stared at them, my body frozen, heart pounding in my ears. "He's cheating on me," I whispered, feeling tears burn at the corners of my eyes. "He's not going to propose. That dinner, it's just so his mom can get rid of me like she did with all the others." Kate reached for my arm. "You don't know that. It might not be what it looks like." "What else could it be?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Look at her. She's stunning. She's out of my league." "Are you serious?" Kate muttered. "She looks older than you. It's probably just the makeup." I wiped my face, trying to pull myself together. "You're only saying that to make me feel better." "I'm saying it because it's true," she said firmly. But my mind was spiraling. The quiet nights, the unexplained absences, the secrecy, it was all making sense now. And the cash from our savings account, this was why he needed to hide it. He didn't want me to see the receipts. I clenched my jaw. "We're following them." Kate didn't argue. We stayed low, weaving through the crowd, keeping just enough distance so they wouldn't notice. The woman laughed at something he said, tipping her head toward him in that effortless way. He smiled down at her like she was the only person in the world. Then he bought her coffee. My heart broke all over again. They looked so familiar, like this wasn't new, like this wasn't an accident. Eventually, they made their way to the parking lot. Michael opened the passenger door for her, of our car, like a perfect gentleman. She slid in, and he walked around to the driver's seat. Kate and I rushed to my car and followed at a distance. They drove for about 20 minutes, through nicer neighborhoods, until they pulled into the driveway of a gorgeous, expensive-looking house. It had manicured hedges, stone detailing, like something from a catalog. Michael stepped out, walked around, and opened the door for her again. She smiled and leaned in, kissing his cheek. I could see the faint smear of lipstick it left behind. She waved sweetly as she walked toward the house, her heels clicking softly against the stone path. He stood there, watching her go inside. Then, without looking back, he turned, got into the car, and drove away. He didn't know we had followed him. "I took a picture if you want proof," Kate said quietly from the passenger seat. Her voice was soft, as if she already knew I was too wound up to look at it. "Not now," I muttered, gripping the steering wheel tighter. My jaw clenched as I stared at the house where the woman had just walked in after kissing my boyfriend on the cheek. I'm going to expose him at the family dinner, right in front of them all. I shut off the engine and grabbed the half-finished smoothie cup from the console, suddenly seeing a new purpose for it. Kate's eyes followed my hand, her expression confused. "What are you going to do?" she asked cautiously. I narrowed my eyes, rage buzzing just beneath my skin. "I'm going to show that woman what happens when you go after someone else's boyfriend." Before Kate could stop me, I threw open the door and got out, gripping the smoothie tightly behind my back. I walked straight up to the house and rang the doorbell, fury keeping my steps firm and quick. The door opened a few seconds later. The woman stood there, dressed casually but put together, her smile warm and polite. "How can I help you?" she asked sweetly. That fake kindness was the final straw. "How about you stop sleeping with my boyfriend?" I shouted, and in one swift motion, I threw the smoothie straight into her face. The cold drink splattered across her skin, dripping from her chin, soaking into her shirt. She gasped, then screamed, "Are you crazy? That's karma!" I yelled, voice shaking. Her expression twisted in horror. "I'm calling the cops, you lunatic!" she shouted, but I didn't wait around to argue. I turned on my heel, stormed back to the car, and climbed in beside Kate. She was frozen, mouth slightly open, staring at me like she didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't say a word. I just started the car and drove off. We rode in silence. Even Kate, who usually had something clever or sarcastic to say about everything, kept her mouth shut. I could feel her watching me, probably trying to decide if I'd truly lost it. By the time we got back to my place, Michael's car was already parked in the driveway. I braced myself as I walked inside, and there he was, standing in the kitchen, smiling like nothing had happened, like everything was still perfect. "Hey," he greeted me, walking over with a grin. "How was your day?" My eyes locked on, the faint pink smear on his cheek. Lipstick. It was almost wiped off, but not quite. "Kate and I went shopping," I replied, keeping my voice even. "Didn't find much." He frowned and pulled out his phone, using the front camera as a mirror. Looks like lunch leftovers," he mumbled, wiping at the stain. How embarrassing. Liar. He didn't even flinch. No guilt, no apology. Just another smooth excuse. "Want to watch something?" he asked casually. "No, I'm tired. I think I'll just go to bed." He paused, watching me for a second longer than usual. "All right, good night." I turned toward the bedroom, but he stopped me with one last comment. "Oh, and I want to give you money for your nails. You should get them done before dinner with my family." I froze. He never offers that. Not once, in all the time we'd been together, had he offered to pay for something like that. "I already did today," I said flatly, then walked off before he could respond. Once I lay down in bed, the adrenaline wore off, but the ache in my chest stayed. There was no way I could sleep. Michael was going to propose. That much was obvious now. The secretive behavior, the withdrawal from our savings, the sudden offer about my nails, all of it pointed to a proposal. And yet, he had been with her. He was cheating, and still planning to ask me to marry him. I loved him. God, I loved him so much. That was what hurt the most. I hated what he did. I hated how he lied, but I couldn't stop loving him, and I hated myself for that. Still, I wasn't going to let it slide. I wouldn't cry and pretend everything was fine. No, I was going to show his whole family exactly who he was. I waited. Finally, the day came. Michael and I spent the afternoon cooking together. He cracked jokes and tried to make me laugh, but I stayed distant. I forced a few smiles for show, but my heart wasn't in it. Just as we finished setting the table, the doorbell rang. Michael walked off to answer it while I stayed in the dining room, wiping invisible smudges from the silverware to keep my hands busy. I heard voices, then footsteps. When Michael walked into the room, he was smiling, proud to present his family. But behind him stood an older man. And her. That woman. The same one I had seen at the mall. The one I had splashed a smoothie on. The one who had kissed him. My jaw dropped. My chest twisted. Rage bubbled up. "What the hell is she doing here?" I screamed, my voice cutting through the room like glass. "You mean my mom?" Michael asked, his voice sharp with disbelief. I blinked. You're Mo? Oh my God," I stammered, completely stunned. He looked directly at me, face unreadable. "You're sure?" I asked weakly, as if hoping for a different answer. "That she's my mom?" Michael said flatly. "Yes, Olivia, I'm sure." The room spun for a second. My brain struggled to make sense of it. That woman, the one I had screamed at, accused of cheating and splashed with a smoothie, wasn't his secret lover. She was his mother. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. What was I supposed to say? How could I possibly fix something like this? She stepped forward, completely composed. "Nice to finally meet you, Olivia," she said smoothly, a touch of cold amusement in her voice. "I'm Cynthia. Shame you won't be part of my son's life much longer." I flinched. Michael stiffened beside me. "Why wouldn't she?" Cynthia didn't hesitate. "Because you two are breaking up." Her tone was so casual, so certain, that it didn't even sound like a threat. It was a statement of fact, like she was reading from a script she'd written long ago. The older man, likely her husband, stood awkwardly in the corner. His face was flushed, and he looked anywhere but at us. Clearly, he didn't want to be in the middle of this. Michael took a step forward, tension in his shoulders. "And why's that?" he asked, daring her to answer. Cynthia's smirk grew. "Remember the crazy girl I told you about? The one who threw a smoothie in my face? That was her." Michael turned toward me, his eyes wide. "Olivia?" he asked, like he needed me to deny it, but I couldn't. "I thought you were cheating," I whispered, barely able to get the words out. I didn't know she was your mom. Kate and I followed you after we saw you with her. I saw you drop her off and I lost it. He looked like he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why didn't you just come talk to us? Ask anything? I don't know, I said honestly, shame washing over me. I panicked. I yelled at her to stop sleeping with my boyfriend, and then I threw the smoothie. Michael let out a groan and rubbed his temples like the whole thing physically hurt. Then he turned to Cynthia. Why didn't you say you were my mom? Her expression didn't change. I wanted to see her face when she figured it out, she said with a smirk, as if she was proud of the chaos. Michael narrowed his eyes, but she kept going. Now dump her and let's go have dinner at a real restaurant. There was a beat of silence before Michael responded. I'm not dumping her. Cynthia's eyes went wide, and before I could stop myself, I echoed her shout. What? Tears welled in my eyes. Michael, what I did was insane. I acted like a complete maniac. I embarrassed you. I humiliated myself. Your mother. Yeah, he interrupted. But you didn't know who she was, and you're my maniac. Then right in front of everyone, he got down on one knee. My heart stopped. Olivia, he said, looking up at me with eyes full of emotion. I love you so much. I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me? My hands flew to my face as the tears came faster. Yes, of course, yes, I whispered. He slid the ring onto my finger, and I barely noticed the sparkle as he pulled me into a kiss. Cynthia, meanwhile, was fuming. This is insane. I forbid you from marrying her, she screeched, her voice rising higher than I'd ever heard. Michael didn't flinch. You don't get to forbid anything, he snapped. And I know you saw Olivia watching us at the mall. You've never kissed me on the cheek before. You've never asked me to open the door for you. You wanted her to see. You planned it. You're just as much to blame as she is. Cynthia turned red. She doesn't deserve you. That's for me to decide, Michael said, standing his ground. And if anyone here doesn't like it, you can leave. Cynthia's lips pressed into a tight line. She spun around without another word and marched out the front door. Her husband mumbled a quiet apology to us both and followed her, head down, eyes low. Then the house went quiet again. I'm so sorry, I whispered to Michael, wiping my face. I really, truly am. It's okay, he said gently. I'd have done the same if I saw you with another guy. And then, with the chaos behind us and a ring on my finger, he kissed me again. This time, with nothing left between us but the truth. What would you have done if you were in my shoes, confronted with suspicion, secrecy, and the fear of betrayal? Would you have followed your instincts or waited for the truth to unfold?